Breaking news coming in from Beijing. China is imposing 34% reciprocal tariff on all imports from the United States of America. This comes into effect from the 10th of April. So China had warned the United States the moment US puts tariffs on Chinese goods export to the US, China will respond in kind and immediately. So from the 9th, when US starts imposing tariffs on Chinese exports to the US, from the 10th of April, within 24 hours, China will impose 34% tariffs on all US exports to China. On Wednesday, Donald Trump had unveiled an additional 34% tariff on all Chinese goods imported into the United States of America. Now, this will lead to a major reset in relations. It will worsen trade tensions between the two of the world's largest economies. Now, the Chinese have said, and I quote, "This practice of US is not in line with international trade rules. It seriously undermines China's legitimate rights and interests, and it is a typical unilateral bullying practice." This is China's State Council Tariff Commission. They said that in a statement as they announced retaliatory tariffs. Now, since returning to power in January, Trump had already levied twice 10% additional duties on all Chinese imports, which the White House said was necessary to stem the flow of illicit fentanyl from China to the US, and this means Chinese goods arriving in the US would effectively be subject to 54% tariffs. China's retaliation against the latest round of US tariffs are more sweeping than its earlier reciprocal action. Beijing had responded to those two previous levies swiftly, but that time it was moderate, imposing retaliatory tariffs on targeting US goods, including agricultural products and fuel, taking action against certain American firms and ramping up export controls. But this time, 54% tariffs are higher than what many analysts had expected, and said this will fundamentally reshape relations, and roughly $500 billion in trade between the two economies after decades of interdependence will be impacted. So I want to cut across to Karishma Sudani, who joins us for more on this story, joins us from Business Today. Karishma, was this expected in these terms? 54% effective US tariffs on Chinese imports and 34% Chinese imposing tariffs on US exports. What does this mean for the two countries and for world economy?
Got it very much on the expected lines, because we all know that US and China both have been at the helm of a trade war, not just in terms of the tariffs that have now been announced, but for the past few months, especially since Donald Trump has taken over as president, the idea has been to keep China aside. And it was since the minute that US had announced the reciprocal tariffs, China took an immediate stand saying that they will go for a reciprocal tariff pact. So it's a situation of a trade war that is happening, and well expected by a lot of economists who said that the US will get it back, especially from those strong economies who know that they can survive without a lot of interdependence. On terms of global scale, not a good move. From economy point of view, this could not do well, because ideally the whole point of tariff debate was because of US expressing their economic uncertainty and instability and depending so much on exports. But now it's going to go a step ahead, and it could actually cause a major disruption when it comes to supply chains, because if two major economies are on a loggerheads, it's not going to be easy, but could be a silver lining for India.
Very interesting. You mentioned that this could be a silver lining for India, but are we nimble-footed to step in, Karishma? Are we poised to step in? You know, everyone's been talking since COVID 2020 about China plus one supply chain. Has India done anything in the past 5 years there?
Gaurav, I recently was speaking to an economist and also a very well-known member of Niti Aayog, who told me that we were never China plus one, we were China plus five. And that kind of fits the bill. We were after Vietnam, after Taiwan. It's just that we were expecting to be China plus one. But in terms of technology and manufacturing, we will take a lot of years to be there, but it is a good step for us to now step in and try to take over. Difficult which country we are going to side with, because we've already taken a neutral stance. We have never really tried to go against anybody. Interesting to watch out where will the government see the best gain out of.
Fair enough. Keep tracking that story, Karishma. I will come back to you for more. For the moment, Karishma Sudani, many thanks. As Donald Trump announced tariffs, the Dalal Street saw red. The Sensex crashed 827 points to 75,468. Nifty tumbled 304 points to 22,945. So the Indian stock market, it's sinking, with investors losing over 10 lakh crore amidst this broad-based sell-off. Stocks such as Tata Motors, Tata Steel, Sun Pharma, L&T, RIL, IndusInd Bank, RIL, they led to losses on Sensex, falling up to 5%. So of the 30 Sensex stocks, 22 were trading in the red.